Yeah, it's going to go now. Here we go.
Yeah. Yay.
Yeah, it's going to go now. Here we go.
Yeah.
Okay, hopefully it's not doubling. Hello, everyone. I'm just trying to figure this out. It's always an interesting time. Hello. We'll just give it a few minutes for everybody to come in. Hi. Let's see. Hi, Yasminka. Yasminka, I felt you earlier. You came into my energy. I knew you were going to be here. Nice to see you. Christina, hello. Hello, Jessica. Monica, Stewart, hello. Annie, nice to see you. And Julia, hello. Yes, my beautiful co-host is back. Rayania she was on a sabbatical. I don't know if she would call it a sabbatical. I guess she was traveling the world and, finding herself, I suppose. So yes, she's back with us. So yes, welcome, Rayania. Thank you for coming back.
So glad to be back, and happy Chinese New Year, year of rabbit, water rabbit.
I did not know that. Well, let's just open the energy here. I feel like that there's a lot of energy, and I like to kind of just set the stage, I guess, for what wants to come through. So for those that are here, and as you're continuing to come in, if you want to just take a moment and close your eyes and just take some deep breaths. We're just going to allow for this space to be that of just pure prime creator, light, love, law and order. And we're going to ask for whatever's in the highest and best for all those that listen now and any time, to come through with grace and ease. And for you, let's take some deep breaths. I'm just going to expand this space. Encourage your heart spaces to just open wide and receive and participate. Come forward and ask questions. Okay, great. Ooh. So I actually wasn't sure I was going to come on live today because there's been so much in the energy that's gone on. I just feel like that we're really, I say it's game on right now, where there's just massive amounts of plasmic energy coming through. There's a lot of connectedness to the elements. The water consciousness is very, very present, the earth itself. And because Gaia is obviously also ascending, and there's just a lot of energy that's coming through Earth herself, and we are one with the earth. It's like there's so much opportunity for the expansion and growth within our physical bodies and within what's happening for us. And I'm certainly feeling it a lot. I've had the last week or so, it's just been massive amounts of shifting and downloads and releasing and letting go. And as that's been taking place, it's really been the topic of relationships. And I think what wants to come through is about relationships in general, like the relationship that we have with our body, with our life, with, of course, with humans, with the earth, with everything. It's like, what are our relationships, and how are we connecting? If we are connecting, what are we doing? Because, so I talked about this in another video when we talked about relationships and where are we coming from within our energy body, within our physical being. Like, are we coming from our mind? Are we coming from our heart? Are we coming from our solar plexus or our sacral area when we are attempting to connect with any type of relationship. And, I feel like that, not just where we're coming from, but what is the motivation? Like most relationships we step into to either bring something to the relationship or take something from the relationship. And it's like, but can we get to that place of neutrality and just having an experience with something? And to me, this is the key to where we're moving in terms of relationship, and it's a relationship with our body. So when we can be in pure experience and coming into a relationship, let's say with the body, then we can be the observer, be the witnessing observer of what is engaging, how are things engaging. And this feels like the most important because we are energy and frequency, and we are waking up to who we are. We're waking up to our lineage. We're waking up to the timelines and all the experiences that we've had in this whole kind of earth experience. And we're also waking up to all the different energies and collectives and so on that are playing out within this field. And in order for us to know, what energies are engaging, particularly in our physical body. And the physical body, of course, is the most important because this is us in physical form. The body is everything of our experience as energy in a physical reality. So, to be the witnessing observer of this physical body and how relationships are engaging gives us kind of the focal point of what energies am I aligning to and how are they playing out. And so I'm taking you actually energetically to like we're going very macro and very micro in terms of the energetic. And those that know how I work, how I operate, I'm not arbitrarily talking. I'm in the energetic field. There's a lot of geometries. There's a lot. My particular energetic field itself carries a tremendous amount of geometry, and it carries the geometries of the creation principles, so that as I'm engaging this curiosity within you, it's beginning to highlight and awaken the various different geometries that are playing out within your being. And what that means for you in your day-to-day is it's going to start kind of waking you up to what am I aligning to? Who am I? What am I being? How am I showing up in the world? And this is really important because, it's like we're all seeking to feel happy, to feel healthy, to feel love, to have genuine, relationships with individuals, with, career, whatever, and in order to have this, there is an alignment that is absolutely beautiful and synergistic to who you are. But it is in the letting go of all that I'm not, that all that I am that comes forward. And so what I'm awakening and starting to get you to sort of ponder, if you will, and have this experience is like, where is this physical body in terms of relationships? Even now, even as you're sitting here with me or standing wherever you are, I want you to begin to just kind of check in with your body and notice, what am I feeling? Where am I feeling it? Is there a thought going on? Is this triggering something? Is this what's happening to me as I'm stepping into this conversation, this idea of relationship? What is my relationship with my body? Do I love my body? Am I judging my body? Because all of those energies in the relationship of the body, I'm playing outwardly, and I've shared this before, I think in the last time I was talking about relationships, that, it's an interesting thing how we have to show up and how we show up in certain ways. I'm going to mute you, Rayania, just for a minute because I was hearing something. Sorry. How we have to, show up in the world. And of course, as women, I wear a little bit of makeup, and I like to, wear something that is nice, and I like certain colors. But I pick my clothes by how I feel and how I feel that particular day and what energy that I want to exude and so on. but I'm human too. And, when we go out and we're meeting somebody new or something, there's this energy that we're typically carrying on how we, what's going to happen, how am I going to show up with this other person? And this is what I'm wanting to start to wake up. It's like, where is that coming from? What is the dialogue? How am I choosing to engage with either another person or an environment or anything? Am I truly able to be in a place of authentic present moment without all of this dialoguing of how I'm supposed to be? And trust me, I don't believe that anybody is absent of the dialogue. I'm certainly not. So I'm not claiming that, but it's just becoming aware. The more that we can become aware, this is the freer and the freer and the freer we become. And this is the more authentic we become. This is how we show up as source consciousness that we are in our authenticity, is when we become more and more aware. What is this dialoguing? Why do I have this dialoguing? What's happening to me? When I choose to engage in any type of relationship. I said, particularly, I'm really talking a lot about the relationship with my own body. I can honestly say that I love this body, and I love, and do I always love every aspect of the body? Well, not always, but I really strive to honor it, to really move into the place of divine love, because from a deeper level, I recognize that, wow, it's really amazing to be in a physical form. And I know we get into that place of like, oh, it's so hard and it's struggling, but that's all the mind and that's all the energies that we keep aligning to. So when we can just recognize like, wow, I'm energy and I'm having this opportunity to engage in a physical reality through this physical body, how cool is that? And how can I really have an authentic experience? We can have that by genuinely honoring and loving and having that first true relationship be my I am presence with this vehicle, this body. And what am I doing? How am I communicating? And again, this is the key to everything, because when we are able to really engage this in that authentic, present moment experience, that's what we're radiating out. And that's when we're going to have those deeper, richer experiences. So this is like the baseline key to everything that you're desiring in your existence. So I really encourage people to come forward with some questions or what you're experiencing, what's happening to you as I'm bringing this forward. Where is it going for you? In this dialogue, as I'm awakening this, where are your thoughts going? What is your awareness? See if anything wants to come forward. I'm not seeing anything just yet, but that's okay. And how about you, Rayania? Since I have you, I muted you, so there you go.
Yeah, actually, Maria has a question about let me see. She has a question about, I think it's the boundary of the body. How can I best release pain, anger from boundaries breached?
Well, oh, you're talking. You're saying as though your boundaries have been breached by somebody else, but so we have to kind of dive into that, because what does that really mean? How am I showing up? And who have I chosen? And, it's like, what does that really mean? Somebody else has, there's an idea that somebody can do something to me, which isn't really possible. It's my experience of what has taken place and my frustration that individual is not operating in the way that I would like them to operate. But when you talk about relationships, who is that individual in the first place? And what is my engagement with them in the first place? What really is the connectedness and the energetics that have been set in place I mean, that, I think that's really the more important thing to notice, and when it comes to the angers and the frustrations, it's like, again, as I'm feeling this energy, and this is a lot, you're in your head a lot, Maria. So I want you to come down into your heart space to really open up and try to feel this a little bit more. But it's like that anger and frustration is it's definitely a control, and it's a control within yourself. There's a lot of mental energy going on here, though. So I'm gonna try to move that mental energy out of the way so that you can really feel what that feels like. And when we talk about boundaries too, are they what is that? It's like, is it like a rigid aspect, my way or the highway kind of energetics? What am I doing there? Or is this something that boy, this is so much mental energy here. I'm gonna have to try to move this because I'm really feeling a lot of thought in relationship to this particular energy that I'm trying to bring forward. Everybody just take some deep breaths here for a second. I'm just going to open up this space for a greater understanding. When I'm feeling this energy of anger and frustration, and particularly when we're talking about this idea of boundaries, I think it's much more internal. It really has nothing to do with the other person. It has to do with, am I honoring myself? Am I really in the place of my own awareness of what I'm engaging with? It's why I brought up this particular conversation today, because it's like, what energies am I in and engaging in? That's really what it feels like to that particular question. Hopefully that answered that, but that if you have more that you want to ask in relationship to that, certainly I'm open to it, but that's what feels like what's wanting to come forward.
Yeah, I think that question also, like what you mentioned, it's who is this narrative and the definition of boundary, right? Because I think that I actually have a question from what you shared earlier, is that what's the relationship with our body? What's my relationship with my body? And we know that our body has its consciousness, has intelligence, but I think at the same time, our relationship with that intelligence, our body is not always pure, because we also come with a programs, a belief. So my question is, how do we know, like, when are we truly in tune with our body, that connection, versus it's in our head, our belief, our past experiences?
Yeah. Well, it's when we are present, when we really take the time to, feet on the floor, I'm looking out my eyes, I'm in my room, I'm truly present, I'm taking a deep dive within myself and being honest and encouraging all of who I am to let go and be real. It's like through the breath. And it's just dropping into that present moment where you're really just engaging and noticing, being that witnessing observer of the body in a very compassionate, loving, present way. There's no judgment in relationship to it. There's no, because when we're in those angers, we're in those fears, we're in that's very external. That's the mind. That's like something's happening. That's me forgetting that I'm source consciousness. That's me becoming small. That's me like trying to get out of something, but I'm the energy that's having the experience. So if instead I kind of pull back the lens and I allow myself to have the experience of it. So whether it's, I'm in anger, okay, I'm going to have that experience. What am I really feeling? And asking myself, okay, because we can have this dialoguing from my head. It's the other person, da, 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 da. But when I go, wait, okay, that's this idea that's out here, but I'm right here. I'm here. I'm right here. And I'm having this feeling. What am I doing? This is me. Okay, what am I doing? I'm having this. And it's like really going into that, like, all right, Why am I choosing to align with anger? Why am I choosing? Okay, so it's letting the dialogue play out because it's going to be there. It's going to go, well, this person, blah, 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 blah. Sure, but I'm right here. I'm still the one. I've got it right here. Okay, so we're having the dialogue at the same time. And that's how we notice what we've been aligning to. This is how we begin to notice, where am I engaging? Because it's like, it's like a movie that's perpetually playing out within you, that's got characters and emotions, but you're continually aligning to them, but you have a choice. And this is what we don't realize. We always have the choice because it's us, we're right here. So what would it take for me just to let go? So let go, just letting go. And as I let go into that present moment, now I can feel, oh, wow, isn't this interesting? There is an energy that's trying to play out. There's a fear. Oh, wow, that's interesting. It's a fear. Wow, I have a fear of letting go. Huh. Well, that's interesting. Okay. All right, well, I have a fear of letting go. Okay. No judgment, just having the awareness like, oh, okay, well, where's that coming from? It's interesting. All right. So we're just going deeper levels. And as we're doing this, because we're so multidimensional and there's so much information that's coming forward, and this is how we're beginning to notice all of the information that's there as we're continuing to just participate. And it is a process of recognizing. And I've said before, if you imagine that the body is like a giant mall of people, and am I in synergistic communication? What am I doing? Because it's like, that's what it is. It's like, I'm the one that's communicating with this vehicle. Okay, if we can forget anything out here, if that's the key, nothing out here, because it's all here. And what's here creates out there. But the game's on when we're like, oh no, it's this person, and here's my reality, and da, 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 da. Let that play out as I continue to feel. Okay, that's the process.
Yeah. I think it follows up with this question from Christina, like, could you please touch base on discernment, like in differentiating between resistance to pain, change from our subconscious programming versus what is really not good for us?
Mm-hmm. Well, so the difference between discernment and resistance. So that's an interesting thing. So what's really not good for you, ultimately at your own level. But it doesn't mean that you aren't going to participate in things that aren't good for you, and because you're choosing to have experiences. And I think that this is the key to that. So usually the resistance aspect when it comes to authenticity is to change. And it's to change that actually aligns you with your divine truth, where ultimately we know, like, for instance, you can know that you're in a relationship that's not working for you. You can have, a love relationship that you absolutely know is not working for you, or a job that you do not enjoy, or a location that you're living in that is not right for you. But you can have so much fear about the change of it, and the fear of trying to find something new and be in something new, that is where the resistance comes in. And that's where the subconscious mind can then play out all of the other dialogues and the fears and the stories and what if I can't find this, or what if I can't do that, and what if I da 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 da. And so the discernment is in noticing, again, what am I feeling? Okay, because if I'm aware that I'm completely unhappy in my job or in my space, and I'm getting the awareness to shift and change, it's like, well, I have that awareness that I'm completely unhappy. Let me take a breath. Let me get real. Let me recognize that. So am I more afraid of change itself, but am I gonna, stubbornly hold on to this? Am I going to remember that, I created this other, like this job or whatever that came along, because in all these types of events, this is all about this finite story. It's like, I don't have something, so now I have something, and it's the only, it's like, these are the stories behind it. And so the discernment aspect is this, really, again, making it get right to here in this body. What is my relationship with my body here? Am I willing to contract my body all the time to be in this place? Because that's my life. That's what I'm doing, through the things that I'm bringing in. Am I gonna do it in a way that I'm actually relaxed and I'm allowing joyfulness, or am I not? This is where this is coming in, and I want to just keep bringing it down to the body, because I feel a lot of mind chatter that's going on, because we get all these stories like, but here's my life, and here but let's remember that we're source consciousness, and we are energy and frequency, and how we are literally creating our reality through our thought and our emotion. So what this vehicle is vibrating as through our thought and our emotion is what we are sending out, and is coming back into our physical reality. This is what I'll keep wanting to bring home, so that we're paying attention to this vehicle, because this is what we're not taught. We're taught, forget the body, forget what's going on here, get moving, get doing stuff out here. But that's why we have all the issues that are going on. And this is where I'm reversing that. We're waking up to, what have we been doing? Who are we? What are we aligning to? What's the stories in relationship to that? And remember, I've said this before, is that, it's like, once we can drop into that 0 point, we're in the unknown. But we're not taught to be comfortable in the unknown. So we're going to immediately want to go back to the known. That's why the story's playing out. That's why it's not about judging it, stopping it, pushing it, just noticing it. Yeah, I got this story going. Oh my God, I don't know where my money's coming from. But I can go, well, I don't know. Okay, you're right. I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, it's playing out. It's trying to take me down a road. But you know what? I'm right here. It's going to be right here. I'm gonna feel. I'm gonna start to allow myself to open up my energy to the possibilities of what aligns with me. I want to feel who I am. I want to get to know who I am. And we're getting to know ourselves on multidimensional levels, because we're getting to know ourselves from what we have as the human and our human life, the man, the woman, the dialogue, but we're also knowing ourselves as energy, as the various different collectives and beings that we are, that have a particular energetic signature to them. A lot of things coming forward here.
We have some discussions there.
Yeah, let's see.
Yeah.
It's a pain. I am in the space in which I exist. Yeah.
I think, do you want me to start with Maria's, or?
You can start anywhere you want. I don't see Maria, so
Okay.
I'm not.
Yeah, right. So I think I'll start with the last question. I think we have to hear this, like what you just shared, how to be in our body and return to a present state many times before we can really understand, and out of our head. How come this is so difficult for us to do this consciously? Well, yeah, I feel this question is that, we know that we have to come back to our heart to be in the 0 point, like to bring all the chatter into the heart. But I think her question is why, like, to know.
Why does it seem difficult?
Yeah, why has it become difficult, and to for us to do it consciously and consistently? I think that
it's only difficult because, of course, you're creating it to be difficult, but it's because what I'm saying to you, because there's so many energies that are playing out all the time. It's like, what are you aligning to? What is your go-to? That's why I'm helping you wake up to what's happening within your physical body, because there is a alignment to, fear or to doubt or to shame or to a worthiness program or all these things that we're constantly playing out. We don't trust, this is the bigger thing. It's about faith, trust, and surrender. It's like, I'm uncertain, I'm not sure. And that's because, we've forgotten that we're source consciousness. We forget that we are energy and light. And so we feel vulnerable and we feel the inauthentic definition of vulnerability, which the inauthentic definition of vulnerability is like a weakness or a fear, but authentic vulnerability is divine truth. It is what it is. I am who I am. Same with power. We feel powerless or somebody can be powerful over us. And that again is the inauthentic definition of power, where, the authentic definition of power is that there's nothing greater than that I am. So it's a matter of, having that recognition that there's nothing greater than that I am, and it is what it is. So if I just let go and show up, and it's just a practice. And yes, why it seems difficult is because there's this perpetual wanting to go in the mind because we're not comfortable in the unknown. We've been taught to react to the outside world instead of that we are creating the outside world. So it's a matter of just recognizing. And this is why I say this will get a lot easier if you just bring it to the body. How am I feeling in this now moment? Where am I? What am I doing to me? Am I torturing myself? Am I dialoguing to myself? Am I emphasizing fear? What am I doing? Why am I doing that to me? Regardless of what I think is going on in my physical reality, I'm doing something energetic to me. Why am I doing that? That's where we're not having that authentic self-love. That's why I said, have that love for yourself. Okay, so this is really the desire when we can, and true self-love is that I don't desire to be in those feelings of distress or anger or fear or whatever. And we think it's uncontrollable. It's not uncontrollable. Okay, we're the ones that's aligning to it. Sometimes we're aligning to it because it's simply familiar. And we don't realize that it's our go-to. It's a familiar feeling to feel distress or upset. So we continually do it.
Yeah. I think I'm gonna bring up, so earlier Maria was asking about this pattern. I'll read. I feel on guard always and live with relatives with the issue and revolve everything I do around them, living small to survive. I don't know how to have the relationships and don't feel safe and must deal. I have had moments of going forward, now just don't anymore, as talking to them doesn't stop the issue. It's on me to react and no change. I've been doing this most of life and don't have resilience anymore.
Mm-hmm. Well, again, it's so you're in the energetics where you're keep wanting the energy to change, but you're the one that is in the reaction aspect of it. So the only way it can change is when you drop out of it, when you disengage from it, because you're continually, desiring something to be different, but you're the one engaging in it. And that's really, I think these are some of the hardest things for us to have that as a realization, is like, what am I doing? Because I'm the one that's aligning and creating this. And it's, and it does change when we no longer engage in it. When we remember, everything is about matching frequencies. And so all we're doing in human existence is matching frequencies in order to be comfortable. And faster moving frequencies always try to raise slower ones up. And so as source consciousness, as we show up as pure light, no other frequency can sustain itself. So if I show up in that neutrality, even when other people are not in neutral, they either have to shift or go away. And what's happening is that if you're not able to sustain that, then your energy is constantly going to be shifting and changing for the other person. And sometimes the resiliency for those individuals to stay in that energetic field is so strong that you may need to just shift out of the environment, in order to do something different. And maybe that is the place in which we're not honoring, within ourselves, is allowing ourselves to do that.
Yeah, I think probably many people can relate to that, especially it's a dynamic, the family dynamic, or the relationship that have been going on for years. And I actually recently had the revelation of thinking I am changed. I've done so much healing work. So I go back to the old family dynamics, and the same pattern, of course, keep going on, because I returned to that little girl when I was with the family, and we had the similar dynamic. We had the same argument, and it took me so many moments of trigger and activation that I realized the only way I can shift this is to shift myself. So either I take the moment just to breathe and to go back to return to my heart, which obviously at the moment it's very hard. But I realized it took me that I had to make the decision. I'm going to stop behaving the way I continue to behave. And it's very tempting to react the way we always do. But I feel like it takes a courageous decision to say, okay, I'm going to be different. I'm going to react differently. I'm either to see them differently and to be very conscious of how energy is acting when we are in that dynamics. Because I think it's almost, there comes a pool that we automatically go into this pattern of this energetic dialogue.
Yeah, because so if a person becomes triggered in there, trigger is never in the present moment. So that's a clear sign that you are not your adult self. And that is what happens, is that we become the character in the play that we're familiar with, in that dynamic of that energetic. And, it's waking up yourself to the present moment. And that's exactly what happens when you can wake up to the present moment and say, wait a minute, I'm not that 10-year-old, or I'm not that individual. I'm this individual. But at the same time, honor that 10-year-old still needs to be healed. And I think this is the key in this. It's like having that recognition that they're both here, but being able, and only you can be the one to heal that 10-year-old. She's not going to be healed through the dynamic of the family, because she's the one that's going to continually keep seeking that same thing. But that she's seeking, you have to give, because only you can give it to you. This is the key to all of these experiences. And when I can be the one that has the self-love for me, and let those ages of myself know that they're perfect and beautiful and whatever, then they come into this now moment, in this reality, and there's no more triggers. They don't exist anymore. And it is a process, absolutely. And it's a recognizing. That's why it is a practice of that present moment. It's really the key to all of this is, am I actually present? Because in the family dynamics, you're right, you become the child. I had an example where my mother was, she was probably in her, I don't know, maybe she was 60s or something, and her mother is in her, late 80s. And I had my mother go have a conversation with her. My mother was like, I'm not going to have any conversation with her, because she's da da da. And I said, well, go ahead and have a conversation. So she did, and she came back and she said, oh, she's just as controlling as ever. And I said, Mom, Grandma can barely control her bowels. What do you mean? And then she was like, oh, you're right. And it was like this wake up, like, wait a minute, I was being this little child to this person, like I'm not seeing this individual in front of me and I'm reacting in a certain way. And I was like, yeah, and that's what happens, is that we become reactive. And it's like, who's the one that's becoming reactive? This is what we're waking up to. Who am I become? What character am I playing? What energy am I aligning to? This is, I'm speaking it in a lot of different layers and different terms, but it's all kind of the same thing, that we're beginning to wake up here.
Beautiful. So another question, if I stay in the fear of change state, does that mean that I cannot fully heal myself or ascend? What is ascending exactly?
I stay in the fear of change.
Fear of change.
Well, it's really insending, and insending is that I'm becoming more of myself. And so, yes, if I stay in the fear of change, then I'm not allowing for my I am presence to really show up, and it's like, how is that serving me? And it's still you. I mean, it still is you're still source consciousness, you're still having an expression. So, you are showing up as an expression, but it's like, but why am I choosing to do that? It's like, why, how is that serving me? And it's not about judgment. I think this is what's super important. It's not about right or wrong, good or bad, or judgment. It's just this awareness of like, well, yes, if I'm afraid of change, why? What am I really afraid of? What's happening here? It's just an awareness. And yes, we have free will. We can certainly choose whatever we choose. There's not a right or wrong path in that way. It's your decisions of what you're choosing to do. It's your expression of how you choose to show up.
Yeah. Beautiful. So Christina asked, can you share your insight regarding pride and being better than dynamics? The dynamic of pride and being better than.
Well, I'm not sure exactly what you're asking about that, but I think that that's all part of the game on the planet, is this hierarchical aspect that something is greater or less than something else, and it's all just an experience. So I think everything is just experience. And when we recognize things as experience, and when we recognize that we're all in this together, because, it's a giant quantum field of energy, and there's just the differences of frequency experiences, then I don't think that any of that exists. And I think that's all part of the false matrix game, of any type of, in the idea of this pride or any, dynamic in relationship of anybody being better than anybody else, because we're all source consciousness. This is really how I see it.
I want to jump to this question from Kate. As someone who has spent most of my life in my head, intellectualizing life, you kindly share that it helps to expand my energy when I enter places where others are in lower consciousness. How? I am sensing, I visualize this, but that feels like it's head attempts. Is there any way to another way to achieve this or explain this from the heart as a newbie heart liver?
Well, the energy, how do I explain? I guess for myself, when you're able to just be present, and my dialogue is that I'm going to keep my heart open and feel no matter what. And I just take a breath and I allow. And that's really that's how simple it is. It's just a practice. It's just like, okay, I'm just going to be here. I'm just going to be here. If you can think about it like first time, if you imagine, because that's really what it is. It's like, it's the first time I've ever been here. I'm brand new. I have no point of reference. What am I going to feel? So even if it's first time, because we're so empathic, you might suddenly feel everything like, whoa, okay, wow, I'm feeling everything. So now we take a breath and go, all right, what do I want to feel? Am I afraid? Why would I be afraid? I'm just here. Why am I choosing the feeling of fear? I can choose different feelings. Maybe I can choose excitement. Maybe I can choose curiosity. Maybe I can choose, because I'm just right here. It's like, where am I? What is really happening? If we can get really real in the present moment, and we just recognize things as energy and frequency, then we can say, well, okay, yeah, I could choose this energy, but what if I just chose to show up? What if I chose to have an experience? Because this is what we are learning and showing up as, tempting to do. And that's how we expand our energy. That's how we stay present, is through that awareness, just that it's brand new. Okay, what is my experience? Have an authentic experience, because we're not having authentic experiences. We're dialoguing through our head. We're already aligned with thousands of different frequencies, and then we're just walking into rooms and connecting to those and having that dialogue come forward. So I keep bringing it back. It's right here. Look, if you imagine you're the only one there, you're the only one in any situation, and in that only one, I have an absolute choice about how I'm feeling. And what if I just let go and I go, well, I don't know what I'm feeling, so I'm going to have an actual feeling. I'm going to have an actual experience. That's the idea. What if we have an actual experience? In a relationship, we must break up and stop sacrificing ourselves in order to honor our soul purpose, if we want to do what we came here for. Yeah. Well said, Stuart. Yes, we're playing out major energies and frequencies of enslavement, imprisonment, and sacrifice. And this is what we're doing, and we're doing it all the time, and we've been guided to do it. And that's why we want to have great compassion and love for ourselves, and really for that little you that's been searching and just doesn't get it. It's not, there's no judgment. It's super important that we throw away the judgment, and we're just kids on the playground. Just keep having that as your awareness. You're just a little kid on the playground, and you're just like me. We're all little kids, and we all want to show up together and just play and experience and have this adventure called life. And if we can really operate from that, if we can feel that within our bodies and show up as that, this life can get very amazing. And that is what's happening. That is the idea of the ascension process and coming into our heart space, is that freedom. We are free and we're joyful, but we're uptight because we're constantly wondering what this person's thinking about me, or why have we become that? And it's all internal. So when we can really just have the relationship with this being be just pure, just an authentic experience, and notice where I'm hiding. Why am I hiding? What am I afraid of? And when we can go into the fear too, it's like, oh, I'm so afraid. I gotta hide. I gotta hold back. What if I went into it? Because we already know what happens if I hold back. I'm holding. I'm tense. What if I let go? What happens then? How about we try that? This is my journey. Okay, I'm letting you know, this has been my journey through my life. Is this because I feel everything, and I felt everything my entire life, and I have such this large geometry that I didn't know what was happening, and I've just played in lots of different fields of awareness and energies and so on, that this journey has been like, at times it's been incredibly difficult and upsetting and confusing, and but my awareness was just like, I have to let go. And this is where I've said before that my kind of controversial moment of it's kind of like suicide. It's not suicide in the giving up in that way, but it's a surrender. It's like, I can't take it anymore. Okay, I'm gonna let go. And you let go. And you're like, wow, okay. But the practice of letting go means now I've let go of all that baggage and those energies. So now I'm in the 0 point, but it doesn't mean that they're not all there. And so immediately you start to feel everything. But this is where the practice is like dialoguing and taking breaths and letting go and saying, okay, well, I want to feel free. And so like, I really, really want to feel authentic love. I want to feel free. I want to feel safe. I want to feel these things. I really genuinely want to feel them. So that's my motivation. And that's my motivation for you. And as I'm here and as I'm feeling them, I am radiating as them. So you have the opportunity as well to feel them and to be them. And this is really the desire. You know, if we have that desire truly internally, that's when we can continually let go. And it's the challenge is because we have been so taught to never let go. We've been taught fear. We've been taught do not trust. Okay, so that's why it's challenging. But when you realize that that's the game, okay, so when you let go of that game, magic happens. Magic. Okay, with that, I have a few minutes. I'm going to go in the energy and expand this magic for you guys here. So everybody close your eyes, take some deep breaths. And let's expand this beautiful field of source consciousness. We're going to call in the highest frequency of Sophia, creatrix of all living things. The highest frequency of divine love, truth, beauty, goodness, to every single cell within your physical body, communicating divine truth, love, beauty, goodness. We're going to merge with Sophia, creatrix of all living things. We're going to merge with source consciousness. Take some deep breaths. As we're going to release the fear. So just allowing, just breathing. Deep breaths. Take some deep breaths to expand this. Just going to release from the solar plexus any doubt, any fear. Just releasing deep levels of fear. We are one, we are one, we are one. You are not alone. You are not alone. You are not alone. So it is. So it is. So it is. Thank you. Ooh.
Beautiful.
As the sun comes in. Yay.
Yeah.
All right. Fear's not real. If you release who you are, small me, your inner child have to grow up. Yes. All right. So how's everybody feeling? I think we got to most of this.
Yeah.
So one
I think the only question I have not read is from Annie. She asked, can we use perhaps geometric shapes and play with this on paper, representing the body as an exercise that allow ourselves to be guided from the heart, to be more present?
Yeah, of course. Yes, you can do that, particularly because you're being drawn to that. I would say absolutely. Allow yourself and step into those geometric shapes that you're being guided to produce, because I think there's a lot of information in those for you. 100%. I definitely feel that. I think there is a light language aspect, but there's also communication. It's like a direct communication that's going on. So I'd say for sure, definitely do that.
Yeah. Beautiful. Good.
Right. Well, a lot of energy here today, and I really encourage you all to practice just letting go, being present, showing up. And thank you, for co-creating with us here today. Beautiful, Shoko. I'm happy. Yeah, thank you for coming as well. So we possibly will be here next week, I think. I'm not saying 100%, but I do plan on it, at least at this present moment. And so as always, if you like this, like it, share it, subscribe if you haven't. And thank you, everybody. And we'll see you maybe next week.
Take care, and yeah, take good care during this intense, energetic moments, weeks.
Yeah,
See you.
lots of energy here. Okay, take care.
Bye, everyone.